Commiserations, Frank. You must be hugely disappointed, but some aspects of that performance were pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. We play really well for 60 minutes. And maybe it's normal after the goal, 3-0 and a tie, we make some changes to go for it. It's maybe normal how the game pans out to a degree, but 60 minutes really good. Really good chances at this level. You want to take them, you have to take them. And so, you know, you don't want to praise performance too much when you lose at this level, because it's finite, you know, it's what it is. But of course, where we've been this season and where we are and what we've got to work towards at this club is a club that's been in this position and further in the competition many, many times. And in this moment wasn't our night. Some players will take that tonight and understand what it is when they come back at this level.
It's a familiar story, though, the lack of goals. I mean, that's just the basic problem, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's clear, isn't it? So it's not for the want of trying. We had a lot of numbers in the box. We've got in loads of crossing positions. So I'll never criticise the lads there for that. It's just the fact that if you can't take those chances, you know, the game goes 2-1 at any point, or the tie goes 2-1. And you really would have felt the crowd turn, and you really would have felt the way we were playing. We were moving the ball really well. We were giving them a lot of problems on the sides of the pitch, which we wanted to. It's my first game since I've been back, I feel, where we've said about things before the game and we've really implemented them. And that's a must for us in the remainder of the season.
That you looked tactically sound. I mean, that looked like a block in the midfield worked really well.
Yeah, I think it did. There was I spoke to the lads before. And people will always maybe question you need 2 goals, but I felt that the need for physical capacity to work off the ball and to be compact in the middle of the pitch, and then to have energy to build off that and to have an idea to try and, you know, penetrate at different times. And we did all of that stuff. So, you know, if they don't score at the moment, you know, it's a mistake from us for the goal, really, to give them that chance. We were ready then to look at maybe, okay, being a bit more aggressive in the game. But as you saw with the starting team, those players are fit, they're in form, and they made a very good account of themselves, and we just didn't get that goal that would have really opened the tie up.
So what's the situation now? The club playing for pride?
You're playing for Chelsea, so it's regardless. Every game you play, you have to give everything. You know, in my period here, I'm only here now for not even 2 weeks, so I'm hungry. I won't let anyone off the hook in terms of seeing this season out. It has to be the opposite. It has to be, we have to show. And the 60 minutes today we showed, playing a world-class opposition there, and we were, for me, the better team and had chances. Now that standard cannot drop, and that's the one message once the dust settles on this for us in the house.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. The other game that we saw tonight, the other quarter-final, which was between Real Madrid and Chelsea. Chelsea came into it 2-0 down from the first leg in Madrid, so playing at Stamford Bridge, they ended up 4-0 down on aggregate on the night. So 2 goals from Real Madrid. Let's take you through both of those goals. Micah, run us through the first one.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie talked about their shape and how they would line up. But if we just play this on really slow, you see all the Chelsea players on that half of the pitch over there, but you see Cucurella. Where is he going? He's going all the way to press Real Madrid's centre-half. Now, Chalobah's left exposed here. Thierry, you made a really good point, didn't you, about what should he be doing here?
Well, delay, don't go. You're never winning that race. I don't know why he's going there, so that's a double mistake. First, Cucurella, where are you going? And at that particular moment, you got a delay. You can't go and dive in there. You're not winning that race ever.
And then, Jamie, what happens next for the goal?
I mean, it's just a mess from Chelsea's point of view, but I'd like to bring you in again, Thierry, because you've been in this position more than anyone. It comes across to Vinicius Junior, and how many times do we see a player there just finish?
Yes, but it's not the first time that Vinicius Junior does the right choice and make the right pass at the right time. This is why those teams go to semi-finals. And mistake, another one. Real Madrid don't make those mistakes. If you give them that, they will punish you.
But if you look at the numbers in the box, they've still got enough players to deal with it. They don't deal with it. And they're just at 6s and 7s all the time. I don't think they know what they're doing at the back. And I need to sort out ASAP, Jamie.
No, I mean, from Cucurella's point of view, we highlighted him. We were up here at the big screen last week. His role in, certainly, the Ben Chilwell red card played a big part, obviously, in the result last week. He's been at fault there again. But I go back to, you know, Thierry's point, the top teams and the top players and why they play at this level. And I just thought Vinicius Junior there, the composure he showed there. It's a simple pass, but how often do you see a player there thinking, I can get the glory, I'll get the shot off, I'll get the goal. And that's why he's one of the top players in world football right now.
Real Madrid get another one on the night as well, completely killed the tie-off. Thierry, take us through that second goal.
Yeah, I mean, they could have scored So many goals after that, and the way they played and they toyed at the end with Chelsea. And I know Chelsea had a couple of chances at the end, but this man again. But look at Valverde here again. Whoop, composure. And I wanted Rodrigo to pass it back to Ceballos. Then I would have gone on the bridge and celebrate with them, because that would have been too much. But this is it's about what I love with this type of team is the team has to score. I don't have to score. We have to score. And sometimes people, and especially strikers, get carried away with the I have to score, but they understand the we have to score.
All right, so Real Madrid, I guess this is in some ways, certainly after the first leg and after getting the 2-0 advantage, this is kind of what we expected to see from Real Madrid. In terms of Chelsea and where their season goes from here, last week, I think it was, you said this fixture is everything for Chelsea now at this point in the season. What happens now?
It's season over, season's finished, and it's all about what manager they bring in. You know, they have to bring a new manager in. I'm sure that they're speaking to managers right now. But when you talk about Chelsea, the interesting thing is there is one person who used to play for Chelsea who is going to find himself in a Champions League semi-final, is Tomori. And
welcome back, everybody. We're going to take you straight out to Stamford Bridge. That's where you are going to find, or we are going to find, Guillaume Balaguer, who was watching the game between Chelsea and Real Madrid, or just Balaguer, as Micah might call him. Good to see you, Guillaume. What were your thoughts on the game that you got to see tonight?
It was a game for big players, and Real Madrid have got lots of them. Vinicius was a little bit anonymous. Benzema didn't even finish the game. He had a bit of a knock in his left foot. So it was a day for Rodrigo, somebody who started the season being told by Ancelotti, you will have your chances. But when they play against Celtic, if you remember, Benzema gets injured and it's Hazard who comes on. And now he scored 15 goals. This is Rodrigo, 15 goals in 31 games in the Champions League. So a man for the big occasions. And next, Manchester City. Maybe. They haven't qualified yet. No. So, or Bayern Munich. But anyway, each one of the two will face a Real Madrid that's right now the best moment of the season. And in my eyes, a better team than they were last season.
What did you observe of Chelsea as they left the pitch? I mean, obviously, I'm sure you were in the stands. You saw the fans leaving early, right? 10 minutes to go, they started making their way home.
The ones that leave, they become very visible. But there were, I would say, at least 50-60% of the fans that stayed and stood up and clapped. There is that thing with English football. They will just help the team as far as they can. They will congratulate them for their efforts. And to be honest, there were moments where Chelsea looked good, especially in the first half. But when Real Madrid just put the next gear, they just don't have it. They don't have a clear idea what they're doing. They don't defend well. They don't have players with big personality. They don't have goal scorers. They keep losing games. It's not good.
And just in terms of the semi-final that we're now looking at, no, we're not going to talk about that. Sorry, Guillaume, we're going to have to let you go. Someone else more important is coming. I apologise. It was good to see you. Thank you so much for being there. Rafael, why have you not wiped your face? You're just sitting there with it.
International.
That's the proper name if you want to look it up.
He couldn't understand, so just say Inter.
The conversation with Rafael meant that I ended up being terribly rude and cutting off Guillaume Balaguer. So we're going to take you back out to Stamford Bridge and back out to Guillaume, because I believe you're about to tell us what you had been doing with your day in London. So share that with us, Guillaume.
Yes, you know, for the new documentary we do in Destination Istanbul, we travel across Europe, and wherever we go, we're trying to find personalities that have helped their cities get better, that they've added to the city. So we met today Richard and Isaac, who are the brains behind Guide London, the ones who do my shirts. Fourth generation of tailors that came all over from Eastern Europe. They've got a story of resilience, and they've got a gift or two for those men on the table.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, they're in the studio. Oh, we need to put these on.
Yeah, 100%.
No.
We need to put these on.
No, we don't.
Andre.
Wow.
No, we don't need to put this on.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
How much?
Yes. The story is, of course, we were in Benfica and we were dealing with fish, so we took a memento of that for Micah. Jamie, is always good to challenge him, see if he can wear that, and I think he can. And of course, for Thierry being French, it's stylish, it's flourish, and it's red and white.
Lovely.
It's so you. It's so you.
It's so me if you close your eyes.
You know what? You know what I think, Guillaume? Champions League final, team outfits. This is what we should all be wearing.
No problem.
Yes.
No problem.
Jamie, you're down.
I'll wear it.
Guillaume, thank you so much.
Thank you, Guillaume. Joking aside. Thank you. Nice touch.
Woohoo! I'm looking forward to those shirts on. OK, so we've got an interesting conversation coming up after the break. Andre, Jamie, they're going to talk Istanbul 2005. Let's relive it. We'll be back in just a second.
You just couldn't get the breakthrough that you needed.
Yeah, I feel like we played well. We had a lot of chances, better chances than they did. But football is all about taking your chances, and we didn't do that today, which was disappointing. But gutted. But you know, we played some good stuff today. Of course, we're going to be gutted, but you know, we played some good stuff today, I think.
Yeah, it felt like the shape of the side looked good and the approach was good. Again, you're just lacking that cutting edge.
Exactly, and like I said, that's basically what wins you games, and we haven't got that at the minute. But there's definitely a big improvement today than our recent performances. But like you said, you need to score goals to win.
That's why they were able to get through with the counter-attacks.
Yeah, exactly. We pushed players forward and they were able to catch us in the counter a couple of times, which was the risk, but everyone will be very disappointed. But like I said, I think there's a lot of improvement in our football today than recent performances, which I think the fans can take that away.
And it's going to be a tough run-in.
There's always things to chase. I think we take one game at a time, and we just want to improve as a whole team and just win as many games as we can for the rest of the season. And like I said, we're going to take it game by game, and hopefully we can build on kind of performance there, because I feel like it was positive in a way.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So what is there to chase then for Chelsea? What is left of this sorry season? We'll talk about that in detail. I think looking forwards and talking about the future for this football club, for these players. Of this sorry season, we'll talk about that in detail. I think looking forwards and talking about the future for this football club, for these players, is important. But first we have to reflect on this evening. And absolutely, you know, Conor Gallagher's right when he says there was improvements, but it's still exactly the same as we've talked about all season long. They create chances, they don't take chances, and the chances they created were really good.
They did. They played well, particularly in the first half. I thought Frank got the tactics right, but you can't discount for how low the confidence are. If it was in place, you go, right, okay, we can't get into Europe, we're out of all competitions, but you know, there could be players playing for their place that, you know, you'd want some improvement, win games between now and the end of the season, some change the formation maybe. But now, because that's not in place as well, you know, or is that going to continue to be behind the scenes taken out the hands of whatever manager's in charge? So it's hard to know what the season brings. It's a real tough job for Frank now, because it was tough motivating a lot of the squad. 30 because it was tough motivating a lot of the squad. 30 players is in a squad is absurd, because a lot of them think they should be starting, let alone just in and around it. And now, you know, how are you going to motivate them players? You know, they'll be now already thinking, you know, what am I going to do for the summer? Because it's hard. It's just a hard job for Frank to get a tune out of them for the rest of the season. But they've got to be professional. Some of them will be playing for their futures and trying to impress the next club. Some will be trying to stake a claim for whoever comes through the door. It's tough.
Frank will be saying, I think Frank's conversations with the players when in their meetings will be, listen, don't think about me. Don't think about me and my coaching staff. You've got to think about yourselves now. Do you want to be here next season? And there'll be players in there who'll be answering that question with the way they perform and the way they apply themselves on a day-to-day basis, the ones who want to say. There'll be players there that will be sitting there who've already had the conversations with their agents saying, listen, you get me out of this place as soon as you can, because I don't want to be here. I'm either not getting my chances or I'm not happy with the way the place is being run at the moment. And that's just a fact of life. That's what happens at football. The place is being run at the moment. And that's just a fact of life. That's what happens at football clubs. But it's about managing that now for Frank and in the best way possible that helps this football club to transition from this period now into what they'd like to think will be a better case scenario going into the new season.
It's incredible, isn't it, how much of a mistake they've made buying so many players. and it's going to hit them where it hurts in the pocket, because now they're going to have to get rid of players. Some players that won't want to leave, so they're going to have to pay them off. It's been a real expensive mistake.
Also, sorry, Mo. Also, when you've got players sitting on the huge wages, who've got 3 or 4, 5, some 6, 7 years to
who
go
aren't
on their
looking
contracts,
great,
right? You know, the problem you got is who buys them for a big price and pays that amount of wages that they're.
There's going to have a lag, you know, a problem for a few years now. They're going to have players that they want out that they can't get out. They're going to have to get players out, so they might have to get some of the players that don't really want to get rid of out.
But how do they decide who to get rid of when they don't have the man in place who's going to take them forwards? It almost feels like until that happens, you can't make the big decisions.
The manager never probably bought half of these anyway. So
can't make the big decisions.
The manager never probably bought half of these anyway. So they'll probably the chairman and the people around him probably bought most of these in. So I guess that they'll be deciding themselves on who goes as well.
That's not working.
The problem is when you, I feel when you're recruiting players, you recruit players style of football that you want to play and a certain type of formation that you might play. They haven't got a manager, so how are they going to be able to start that process of even thinking about players when they haven't got the unless behind the scenes there's a manager out of work right now who they could be talking to, they know's in place and not pushing the button yet, but they're getting things in order for when they do press the button and say, right, you're in charge.
You're not going to start working until you've signed your contract, because you could do 5 or 6 works on recruitment, then the owners think for whatever reason, I'm going to go with someone else. You know, so they have to figure. There has to be a meeting where they go, right, this is the time frame we're going to go to get the new manager in. As soon as the new manager's through the door, then we're going to start. We're not even going to think about who's coming or going. We're not even going to think about who's coming or going until we get a new manager. Otherwise, it gets messy. A new manager walks in the door, he thinks he's getting 4 or 5 players, and he walks straight in the door and he goes, oh no, we're looking to offload player A, player B, player C. So you cannot, at a football club, do anything until you have a manager or a director of football who's going to drive where you're going from a footballing perspective.
It's a reminder that you can't just buy expensively assembled individual talents and expect them to play well.
I don't know if Cucurella was the best player at Brighton. To be fair,
he was their player of the year. He was their player of the year. So they went and got thinking that this is going to solve some problems for us. Suddenly you realise that it's about a plan, it's about culture, it's about They went and got it thinking that this is going to solve some problems for us. Suddenly you realise that it's about a plan, it's about culture, it's about coherence, it's about structure from top to bottom, it's about communication. None of that seems here.
Brighton Football Club is run really well, from recruitment, from the top to the bottom. They're meticulous in what they do. They don't rush. They go on fishing the ponds that suit them, that they identify, and they go, that's our area, and they're very different to what we're seeing here at the moment.
What do they need to do here? Getting a new manager in is one job.
But that's taken time to get to that for Brighton. That's happened overnight.
Yeah, but
so
what do Chelsea need to put in place now to be able to allow themselves to move forwards from here? It feels like they're sort of stuck.
They need a director of football. If they're not going to get a manager, they need and they think that they're going to. That they've changed the man. There's been 4 men in charge already this season. All right. So when they come in, it's going to be patience. Already there've been 4 men sitting down in that dugout taking the team now. So that already breeds, you know, insecurity amongst the squad. So if you're going to be a hire and fire, and that's fine. This club's been so successful doing that over the last 20 years. But you need someone behind the scenes who's going to be the one like a done at Brighton and the job he's doing at Newcastle. Someone like that who can bring the right players in at the right money at the right time, and then you just get the coaches who play that style of football. And then you can rotate them, but it's got to be something.
That almost feels like it's the first thing to get, then, is it? Get that role sorted.
I'd say so.
Rotate them, but it's got to be something. That almost
feels like it's the first thing to get, then, is it? Get that role sorted.
I'd say so. I mean, when you look at the playing staff and when the players they brought in, I still think there's some great players here. It's an incredibly talented team. So I think they've got the basis of, you know, they have got everything, haven't they? They've got the great training ground. You know, everything about them is very good, but. They've almost done it in the wrong way round. They've just gone and bought everyone, and now there's a drain in managers. I'm certain of it. I asked the question of Frank Lampard before the game. When you go into a training ground and you've got 30-odd players, you can bet your bottom dollar. You walk through the door and think, oh, who's next? Who's going to knock on my door next? And it drains you having to keep 15 people happy before you then can concentrate on improving your team. You're having to deal with 15 unhappy players. It must be so draining. They've got to. You're having to deal with 15 unhappy players. It must be so draining. They've got to do that before anything.
I reckon he's spending as much time, if not more time, thinking about and then implementing that part of his job.
So who makes that call then? Who goes? Which players go?
Well,
it'll be the guys behind the
new
scenes.
manager, all behind the
team.
scenes, the whole team. They've got to get that team together, haven't they? First of all, how many times have we seen it? How many times have we seen it? Nottingham Forest did it this year. Fulham did it when they came.
2 matches happening later this week. Talking about tonight, though, Frank came with a plan. The plan's worked. Chelsea have looked really good.
Oh, they've had a couple of really, really big chances. I think we looked at his formation and his team selection before the game and questioned where would the goals come. Still, we haven't got a goal, but we've had opportunities, and what they've done really well is we talked about the fullbacks before the game. They've released themselves and played high, brought the Real Madrid wingers who are dangerous in the other end of the pitch back to defend, and nullified that threat a little bit.
Yeah, we absolutely thought this was key, didn't we? Before the game, that Reece James had to free himself of Vinicius and get forward. This is one of Chelsea's most important players in an attacking point of view. And OK, his touch, his cross didn't quite work on the first couple of occasions, but longer the game went on, the more and more influence and impact he had on it. And then the 2 big chances came from this side of the pitch, Joe.
Yeah, and Kante's got to do better. I mean, you can see that the box has worked well for Chelsea. They've had good control of the ball, and it's allowed Reece to creep into these areas. This is Cucurella's chance. You know, that's a full-back striker there.
What a save.
It's a great save, but I think a top-quality striker there will just slide it underneath.
The 2 big chances have fell probably to the wrong people.
Exactly. You know, although they've got a lot of wrong people there. There's only probably 1 or 2.
Havertz is the only person.
So what's the atmosphere in that dressing room now? Is Frank saying, this is brilliant, keep it up, or is there a sense of, here we go again, creating chances we're not taking?
I think Frank will be delighted with the start of the game, and they're exactly where they want to be. You know, apart from going a goal up, and I think now Frank's looking at his bench and thinking, right, if we can start the half well, this crowd will respond, and then you've got Mudryk to come on. You've got lots of attacking options, and then you've got the threat from Real Madrid, and this because they always show this, don't they?
We all know this. The quality's there, and if you give them time and space to get their help and pick passes, they got time here. This went off the post. It's a rasping shot here from Rodrigo. But they haven't been great, Real Madrid. They've showed glimpses, but they haven't took real control of the game, and you haven't thought Chelsea have been out of their depth. Chelsea away in this game, they've still got a chance to get goals, but they've got to be aware that there is moments of brilliance in this team, and they've got to be aware of that.
Yeah, they're always going to be dangerous scoring. I mean, those 2 chances, for me, they're never going in from those angles. The goalkeeper's got to be having a howler for that. This is the big chance from Vinicius. It's a huge chance. Arguably the best chance of the day. Probably Conte's was the best, maybe. That's a massive chance. But I think on the whole, Frank Lampard will be very, very happy tactically and from the chances they've created.
1 Chelsea goal, the roof lifts off this place. The whole atmosphere changes. They've just got to find a way to get the ball in the net.
They do. But the positive thing is they've got options, and they're in the ascendancy. I thought Real Madrid are in a sticky situation. They need to stick or twist. They've tried to stick. I don't think it suits the way they play. They're going to have to throw